A pivotal match week 28 continues here in MLS Next Pro. Glad to have you with us on MLSNextPro.com for this one. It's Orlando City B hosting Chicago Fire 2. Major playoff implications in this one for both. Joe Malfa with you from Osceola Heritage Park in Kissimmee, Florida, where Orlando can clinch a playoff spot with a victory here tonight. They had the other things they needed to happen over the weekend. So 3 points tonight for Orlando City B, and they are into the postseason. They cannot mathematically catch second place Philadelphia anymore after Philly's win earlier tonight over NYCFC 2. So for Orlando, there's no moving up, but there is clinching a spot, and there's a very tight table beneath them here because there's not much separating these teams right now in the Eastern Conference. Orlando sitting in third on 43 points. You look down to Chattanooga in 10th on 40 points. 3 points are separating third and 10th right now. And Orlando's opponent in this one, Chicago Fire 2, they're right at that cutoff line in the postseason here, 41 points. They have a game in hand on all the teams around them, so they are looking to help punch their own ticket tonight. They cannot mathematically clinch Chicago, but they can vault Orlando from 8th all the way into 3rd with a win in regulation. It is a very strong starting 11 for Manuel Goldberg and Orlando City B, including a few faces who have been in and out of MLS Next Pro this year, mainly in MLS, and the key figure here is Jack Lynn up top. Only 5 starts in this league in 2024 with 2 goals. Remember, he was the Golden Boot winner in MLS Next Pro last year, and he was best 11 in 2022. So that is a boost for Orlando City B up top. Very dangerous attack with Shaq Muhammad flanking him. Muhammad leads away with 11 goals this season for OCB, and the threat down the right side persists between Muhammad and also with Alex Freeman, who has 7 goals and 7 assists, the young teenage right back there for Orlando City B. On the other side for Chicago, Ludovic Tayandie hoping that this is 3 points that vaults Chicago up as high as 3rd. They only have a 1-point cushion now at the playoff line, and they have this year's Golden Boot leader in David Pareba. Really was used as a central midfielder last year for Crown Legacy in a deep lying role. Goes to Poland, loaned back to the U.S. here with Chicago from that Polish club. Turned him into a striker. That's how Ludovic Tayandie saw him in this fit here, and he's rewarded him with 17 goals on the season. Christian Kofi to his left, Murray Glasgow to his right. A very dangerous trio up top. And we are just about set to get this one going here. It'll be Orlando from left to right in the purple, Chicago right to left in the white. Jack Lynn chatting with Shaq Muhammad at the halfway line as our referee Joe Surgan blows the whistle, and we're underway here in Kissimmee. Happy to have you with us this evening on MLSNextPro.com. I'm Joe Malfa. Massive 3 points on the line between Orlando City B and Chicago Fire 2. Chicago's form has been poor as of late, but they stopped the bleeding 10 days ago with a victory over the Red Bulls. Prior to that win, they had an 0-3-3 stretch with 3 shootout losses going back to July 21st. So before that win last weekend against the Red Bulls, they had only picked up 3 of their last 18 points, Chicago. At one point, they were in very good position to make the postseason. All of a sudden, they hit that slump, and things are a bit dicier now, but they still very much control their destiny in the standings. Mercado looking through the lines, and it's from one goalkeeper to the other. Orlando, on the other hand, has been scorching as of late. Since August 3rd, 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 shootout loss. They've picked up 19 of 24 points, and they have put themselves in a position again to clinch a playoff spot with a victory here tonight. Has to be a regulation victory to be specific. Anything less than that, and they would leave it to chance. The last thing they want to do is leave it to chance, because this is Orlando's second to last game. They are off next week. Their next game will be their season finale on Decision Day against Cincinnati. Chicago still has 2 more games remaining at Columbus, home Philly. difficult for Orlando to go into this 2-week layoff without the knowledge of the safety of already being clinched. Here's Jalen Shannon. Really strong rookie season here in Next Pro for Jalen Shannon. All-conference honoree out of Western Michigan in his first pro season. Kofi gives it away. John Solis intercepts and is fouled. John Solis, a regular these last couple of years now for Orlando City B. 26 starts, 4 goals, 2 assists this season as he patrols the midfield. Picked up by Luca Petrasso, never afraid to get forward from his left back position. We'll see it a lot from Orlando, using their outside backs in the attack. Alex Freeman on the other side. 20 years of age, Alex Freeman, again, 7 goals, 7 assists this season. Breakout year. Very well may be his last year as a regular here in MLS Next Pro. That call up on a more permanent basis to the MLS level seems imminent. Petrasso blocked. Space for Muhammad. Shaq Muhammad lets it fly. First look of the evening for Orlando. Player who's been in this kind of form this year with 11 goals, going to have the confidence from there. 21-year-old from Ghana, the number 2 overall pick in last year's MLS draft, and Orlando paid a hefty price to trade up and select him at number 2 overall. Three matches in all here on this Monday in MLS Next Pro. If this one or the next one, which is LAFC hosting Real Monarchs later, are anything like the first one, you're in for some fun tonight. It was 4-3 Philadelphia beating NYCFC in a match where both teams at one point or another scored 3 unanswered goals. So 7 total. NYCFC had a stretch in the first half after going down 1-0 of scoring 3 goals in 10 minutes. And then Philadelphia scored in stoppage time in the first half and then twice in the first 20 minutes of the second half to win the wild one 4-3. And that result again was pertinent to Orlando here. It meant that Orlando could no longer ascend any higher than 3rd here in the Eastern Conference. They are 6 points back of Philadelphia. Both teams had 2 games remaining before Orlando kicked off here. So even if Orlando went 2-0 and Philly 0-2, you go to the tiebreaker, which is regulation wins. And Philadelphia has a 14-10 advantage there. So no matter what, Orlando cannot ascend beyond 3rd. They're just hoping that they get in, which they will with a win tonight. Free kick on the way for the home side. Emmanuel Almaguer standing over this one. Orlando hoping to get back to the postseason. Finished 5th in the Eastern Conference last year to punch their ticket in. Floated in centrally, still loose near the goal line. Comes back to Muhammad and blocked. Alex Freeman was the first who had a chance at it in the air. And now Chicago releases 2v1 the other way. Omari Glasgow with David Pareba. He feeds Pareba, and a terrific defensive play. Yaler Valencia tracking all the way back. Puts in a perfectly timed challenge. Credit to Colin Gusky here, the 17-year-old midfielder. Handled it well. Was close enough to Glasgow to prevent him from taking it himself. Split the difference enough to prevent an easy pass in for Pareba. Got the help from Valencia, and the end result, a corner. Could have been a lot worse for Orlando. Now the corner swung in, falls all the way through just beyond Pareba, who was the intended target. And now Valencia leads a counter the other way. 3v3. Valencia leading the line, goes for goal. Could have done better there. They had Shaq Muhammad screaming for it. End-to-end fast-paced start here between two teams who made the playoffs in 2023 and are hoping to get right back there in 2024. Orlando lost to the eventual runners-up Columbus in the first round last year. Chicago losing to New York Red Bulls in the first round last year. Gonna win tonight for Chicago. Takes them from 8th to 3rd. A loss tonight for Chicago keeps them just 1 point ahead of Carolina Core and Chattanooga FC that all be on 26 games played. Kofi. Margins are incredibly tight here in the Eastern Conference. Some teams having 1 or 2 games to play depending. Much different story than the West. Of course, there's a couple of races going on in the West right now, but it's everybody chasing Houston for 8th. They're 1 point above the line. They have 2 teams, an SKC and Austin, who are within 2 points. But there's some separation there. If you look at the table in the Western Conference, there are 6 teams with that little X next to their name having already clinched a spot. In the Eastern Conference, there's just 1. It's Cincinnati at the top coming into the night. That is it. And Philly then, after they won today, joined them. Orlando could become the 3rd. And then beyond that, you've got from Miami in 4th down to Chattanooga in 10th. 2 points separating. So buckle up on decision day is what that likely means. Every goal that's scored essentially will change the calculus in some way as long as these teams are all within 2-3 points of each other. And this is where you start lamenting some of those points you might have dropped throughout the season, be it losses in the shootout, be it leads that became draws, whatever the case may be. Doesn't seem like much when you lose a shootout back in April. That point could come back to haunt you. Just chatting with coaches around the league now over the last couple of years of this league's existence here in Season 3. The target is really going about 500 in the shootouts. Everything sort of comes out in the wash if that's the case. The one thing you cannot afford to have happen, as some teams have this year, think about Inter Miami right now, middle of the table in the Eastern Conference. They've been in 6 shootouts. They've lost all 6. But these 2 teams here have hit that rough 500 mark. Orlando 4-5 in the shootout. Chicago 5-4. So all those points come into the equation. These teams have handled it nicely when it's come to the shootouts this year. Adequately, maybe a better word for it. Threaded through for Christian Kofi. 23-year-old from France, 2 goals, 4 assists this season in his first year in Next Pro. Signed from the 3rd tier of Spain this past offseason, Christian Kofi. Trio up top of Kofi, Pareba, and Glasgow, very dangerous, especially when they get out in transition. Glasgow missing some time this year, mainly for international duty in a couple of spots. Started and scored 2 weeks ago in CONCACAF Nations League for his native Guyana as they took down Suriname. Kibunguchi. Continuity has been a big theme for Orlando this year, big reason for their success, not only in terms of running out similar lineups on a game-to-game basis, but also in terms of just the lack of turnover year over year. You look at the starting 11 here today, with the exception of Yaler Valencia, who signed in the offseason, and then Colin Gusky, who was elevated from the academy to Next Pro this year for the first time. Everybody else has been here 2 or 3 years. Continuity finally paying off for Orlando. And then continuity within this season in and of itself. All but 3 outfield players have started over 20 games this year for Orlando. A couple of those exceptions are due to MLS roster call-ups. Jack Lynn has mainly been with the first team this year, so too is Luca Petrasso. Continuity and experience for OCB has been key. Rahel back for Shannon. Pushed ahead on the right side for Diouf. A couple of tries from distance here. Both sides have been off target. Orlando last time out, a 2-0 victory over New England. Both goals coming in the second half. Alex Freeman, Jack Lynn, the goal scorers. Much different story here for Chicago than their last one. That 2-1 win over the Red Bulls. They already had a 2-0 lead at this moment when the clock read 14. Early goals from Christian Kofi and Javier Casas. Quickly taken, free kick over the top here. Freeman won't get there before Patrick Loos picks it up. This portion of the match is brought to you by Orlando Health. Choose well. Kofi. Has it off behind Luca Perpa. Pressure here for Kibunguchi, goes back to Mercado. Well done playing out of it by OCB. That is something that'll make Manuel Goldberg very happy, the head coach looking on. This team being able to play out of possession under pressure. Not just panicking and launching it forward in that moment. This one nearly finds Freeman. Glasgow latches on. Cutting in, going back outside. Glasgow goes for goal. Mercado makes the save. First time either goalkeeper has been called into action. Not out of the woods yet though, Orlando. Glasgow wins it back. Quick shot blocked by Petrasso. Drop back from distance, it's saved again by Mercado. Diouf struck it well. All the bodies in front there as well. It didn't seem like it had any chance of getting through. But a missile. Mercado stopped. Look back at those opportunities for Chicago. First it was Glasgow just turning Luca Petrasso inside out. A quick right-hand save from Mercado. And then have a look at that shot from distance. Orlando seemed to have it defended well. They had 3 guys between where the shot was taken and the goalkeeper. Somehow made it through. Launched in from Chicago. Loaded in once again. Chicago starting to get a foothold here in terms of possession and generating opportunities. Kofi. Perpa. Pareba goes for a goal. Pareba denied by Mercado. He has a 2-goal lead right now, David Pareba, in the Golden Boot race. Remember last year the Golden Boot race came down to the final day. Had a hat trick scored, had a brace scored, had 3 players tying in the end. One of them being Jack Lynn. Delay here is for Carlos Mercado, feeling at that left hip and groin area after he went down to make that save. Gives a thumbs up here to our referee. Diego Konings. Lamont Rochester. Good look down the right side for Glasgow. Better interception from Luca Petrasso. Could not handle it though. Right back to Chicago. 9-7-9 this year, Chicago. 5-4 in the shootout then. 41 points, 8th place. No clinching or elimination scenarios today. But a win again allows them to leapfrog from 8th to 3rd. Orlando City B clinches a playoff berth with a win today. One of their scenarios to earn that spot involved Chattanooga picking up 2 points or fewer this weekend, which they did. They went to a shootout and won against New England. Picked up 2 points there, opens the door here for Orlando. A win and they're in. Then you figure out the seeding over the next couple of weeks, sure, but at least you know, no matter what, you'll be playing beyond October 6th. Rapid start, end to end, slowing down now, 20 minutes in. Freeman. Orlando would like to get it down this right side a bit more between Freeman and Muhammad. Between those two guys, 18 goals, 8 assists. 11 goals for Shaq Muhammad, 7 for Alex Freeman. 7 assists for Alex Freeman, 1 assist for Shaq Muhammad. And then, oh, by the way, they have with them again in this one, Jack Lynn up top, only making his 6th start in Next Pro this year. He's mainly been with the first team in MLS. Reigning Golden Boot winner in this league. He's also best 11 in 2022. 19 goals last year in that Golden Boot season, 15 goals the year prior, Jack Lynn. This year, 10 appearances, 2 goals in MLS. Gucci almost lost his footing, now gallops through. Gucci still feeds it wide, finds Valencia. Valencia cutting in, going for goal, is saved by Patrick Los. Just the power off the foot of Valencia. Struck it so sweetly. How many times do you see a guy cut in here and try to curl it far post? Valencia with venom to the near post. For Patrick Los, it was equal parts making a save and equal parts just self-preservation. Almaguer will take the corner. First of the match now for Orlando. Almaguer drops it in. The header is wide. Two good services from Almaguer on set pieces. One a free kick, one a corner. Both turned into chances for Orlando. Freeman nods it down. Sprung through. Solis. Solis. Overlap. Cutting in. It's Williams. And it's knocked away. Recovered by Gusky. Almaguer gets it back to Kibunguchi. Thomas Williams, center back, has been growing up year over year. Become a regular here for OCB. 24 starts now this year. 20 years of age, has been on the scene since he was 17 for OCB. Almaguer. Solis. Patient again, Orlando. Chicago, very compact defensively. Dangerous challenge there from behind. It's going to be the first card of the match. A yellow for Javier Casas. And another free kick in a good spot for Orlando.
Ladies and gentlemen, a yellow card has been issued to Chicago Fire 2, number 37.
Clumsy tackle.
Javier Casas.
Mohamed
in the 26th minute.
Posted up and was prepared to make the turn inside. This portion of the match brought to you by Inter & Co., your next financial super app and official financial institution of Orlando City. Again, it's Almaguer standing over the free kick. From this angle and distance, he could think about testing Patrick Los with a shot. Only a two-man wall. Los trying to set that wall up to protect his near post. Almaguer could have a go at goal if he desires. Almaguer chips it toward the back post, and the header's over the bar from Kibunguchi. 3 close calls on set pieces. Almaguer's having a nice night in terms of the service. Just have to rein in the finish if you're OCB. Christian Kofi. Now the pressure coming in from Orlando. Really good ebbs and flows to this first half where both sides have had 5 to 7 minute stretches in control of the territory and the ball. And this spell belonging to Orlando. Lynn gets it through for Gusky, a heavy touch, and the moment's gone. Back for Mercado. And those 3 big saves all in a row. This portion of the match is brought to you by Walt Disney World, the most magical place on earth. Slip through into space for Freeman. Almaguer with Muhammad calling for it. Almaguer goes back post instead, but it was blocked. He was looking for that run on the back end from Lynn. I don't know if it would have worked out anyway. They didn't seem to be on the same page. Lynn made the near post run. Half an hour gone. Muhammad wins a corner. A lot at stake in this one. And Osceola Heritage Park. Orlando clinches a playoff spot with a regulation win. No clinching or elimination scenario for Chicago, but they can go from 8th to 3rd with a victory in regulation. Almaguer. Different type of service this time. Went low with it on the second effort. Surgan comes in for a conversation. Settling things down before this second effort at the corner. Almaguer, better service this time. Solis nods it down. Muhammad forced away from goal. Almaguer tried to draw the foul, instead it's a throw. Freeman was onside. Freeman end line drives it across. Lynn nearly got a foot on it. That would have been enough. Would have been a tap in for his third of the season. And Chicago wrestle control back in this first half. Last few minutes have been spent in their own defensive end. Lamont Rochester stepping up. Orahel. Sergio Orahel thought about a strike. Tries to play a quick one too. Luca Perpa couldn't keep it alive. Now Casas finds Kofi. Overlap from Rochester. Kofi cutting, shooting as it blocked. Diego Konings tracks it down. 23-year-old. Signed this year out of college for his rookie season. 19 starts, 2 goals coming into tonight. Out of St. Louis University. A try from distance here. Mercado had to scamper back. Let it pass him by. Seemed to realize it was wide. Think twice now. Not how far out he positions himself, however. Almaguer. Orlando again is off next week. They finish October 6th against Cincinnati. This is their second to last game here tonight. Obviously a possibility, just depending on how results break, that they could clinch a playoff spot while they're off over the next 2 weeks. That is a difficult position to be in, sitting back with no control over what's happening, and then finishing your regular season against the first place team, Cincinnati. Possibly needing a result when all said and done. Flag stays down. And then it does come up in the end for Luca Perpa. Air tripped up. A warning here for Sergio Orahel. Doesn't have a yellow yet, but that is 3 times now that he's in the ire of our referee. On the brink of a persistent infringement yellow. Only other card right now to speak of. Javier Casas picked one up. Almaguer. Bending one forward. Brilliant ball for Freeman. Cut back by Alex Freeman. Laid off to Shaq Muhammad. Chipped over the top. Muhammad tracking it down. Wins it from Rochester. Solis. End line in front for Lynn. Directs it wide, but he got his foot on it. He's getting closer, Jacqueline. Valencia. Patient from Valencia, trying to get Diouf to commit. He does it. Now Petrasso delivers. Valencia. And it's no trouble for Patrick Lose. Once it bounced through, Lose had no trouble. I think his biggest fear in that moment was any sort of deflection, given the traffic in front. And almost given away out of the back by Chicago, but bailed out by a foul. It was against John Solis. Mistake. Out of possession there by Pareba. He's dropping a bit deeper into the midfield, try and find this game maybe, but that's not exactly what you want. If you're Ludovic Tayandier, Chicago head coach, takes your striker out of position. That's not just any striker, it's the Golden Boot leader. Solis comes through with it. Solis, step over, goes for goal. Easy for Lose. Perpa. Weaving through, Pareba lays it off. Glasgow goes for goal. Mercado sees it whiz wide. Getting a word with his back line for not closing down on Glasgow. That is the 9th shot here for Chicago in this first half. 3 of them on target. 7 shots, 2 on target the other way for Orlando. Despite all the efforts from both sides, no goals yet to show for it. 5 to play in this first half. Happy to have you with us this evening on MLSNextPro.com. Joe Malfa with you for the action. Orlando clinches a playoff berth with a win in regulation. Chicago significantly increases their playoff hopes with a victory of their own. 2 teams who each made the postseason last year, both eliminated in the first round. Hoping to improve upon that in 2024. Glasgow has the overlap, goes at it himself, and it's the wrong side of the netting. Afraid to shoot. Glasgow, 25 caps, 17 goals in his young career for Guyana. Did make his MLS debut this year as well. 2 appearances total for Chicago, and also tacked on a 3rd appearance with the first team in Leagues Cup. Petrasso. Sent in from Petrasso, looking for Lynn. Kofi. Glasgow once again, active first half. Omari Glasgow. Pareba, wrong side of Glasgow. Already committed to a run. The stop, no chance at it. Cleared away by Gusky. 23 starts this year for Colin Gusky. Goal, 2 assists for the player. Capped at the U18 level for the U.S. His first real season here in Next Pro. A more full-time call-up from the academy. They've been on the radar for quite some time. This Orlando academy that has been pumping out talent with regularity as of late. Kofi puts it in front, still loose. It's out for a corner. Pareba threatening. From the corner, traffic around Mercado. Got it back for Shannon, still loose. It'll be another corner as the clock reads 45. 1 minute of stoppage time tacked on.
Indicated that there will be a minimum of 1 minute of added time.
On the corner, a slip. And through for Valencia. One last effort perhaps for Orlando in this first half. But he balloons his effort. It's touched over the bar. Wow, that was just misread by Los. He was tracking it and tracking it and tracking it. And then at the last moment, which seemed like a nothing messed up ball over the top from Valencia, as he just mishits it here. Ends up troubling Los. So now one final corner for Orlando in this first half. From the corner, Almaguer, the header off target from Williams, and that'll do it for half number one. Scoreless between Orlando and Chicago. Coming up, we take another trip to the coach's corner after this short break.
Toda mi gente lo siente, 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 toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la favela suena, el techo se me llena, toda mi gente lo siente.
Action.
sacúdete. Vamos, dale pues, vamos allá, muévete. Muévelo como solo tú lo sabes. Así es, pon las manos en la cabeza y sacúdete. Sacúdete, 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 mira, sacúdete.
Listen up, all eyes on me. I'll show you who you wanna be. Hey, yeah, yeah, hey. Oh wow, wow, wow. It's going down, down. You don't want to miss that. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. It's the new sound.
0-0 at the break between Orlando and Chicago. The Whitecaps FC2 looking to make it to the MLS Next Pro playoffs for the first time ever. Michelle Montaigne caught up with the head coach, former MLS great Ricardo Clark, in the latest edition of Coach's Corner.
What's up, guys? We're back for another edition of Coach's Corner, this time in Vancouver, Canada, with head coach of Whitecaps FC2, Ricardo Clark. Rico, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Second full year as the head coach of this club. What has been the biggest lesson that you learned from year number one that you've used here in year number two?
Yeah, I'd say a big lesson is just learning how to manage the second team environment in general, right? Obviously, as a coach, you're naturally turning into a leader, and then you're managing your staff, you're managing players, but within the dynamic of a second team, you're managing up and below, if you get what I say. So, so many different unpredictable factors with the second team. So with all that, you try to, get as organized as you can going into the season, but also just be ready to adapt week to week, but even day to day, right? And integration is something we've sort of tried to evolve within the club and in the second team environment. And with that becomes a lot of unpredictability, right? I say within that, just growing in that role and growing in the development space and managing all that to make sure we're getting the most out of the players, I'd say is an area of growth for me through this year after learning from last year.
When it comes to the postseason specifically, you guys are once again kind of hovering right there around that playoff line. What did you learn from last year that you can use to change your playoff fate for this season?
Surprisingly, I think this year we've actually, I'd say, put less focus on making the postseason. I think how we approached, or at least the mindset we tried to approach this year with, especially with instilling it amongst the players, is to just focus on the day-to-day, right? Focus on the day-to-day, how you're maximizing the opportunity, whether you're with the second team, whether you're a second team player with the second team player with the first team for the day, whether you're an academy player in with the second team or even first team, just making sure whatever comes about for the day, you're maximizing it, taking advantage of the opportunity and looking to become better within that moment, right, within that day. And then obviously, you progress throughout the week, and on the match day -1, the match day, then it's about in the second team environment, how are we gathering as much information as possible, then contributing it to the game to perform individually, to help the collective, right, to hopefully have a good performance, and then hopefully the result takes care of itself. I would say with that, the group has done well to sort of take on that mindset, and we found ourselves with 4 games left in the season and right in the playoff hunt. So what we've done, we've kind of corralled the group together, especially the leaders amongst the group, the more experienced players, and asked them what they want. Over these last 5 games, they said they really want to compete to make the playoffs. Okay, so we've set our objectives for the end of the season. We really are taking the approach of having a playoff mindset and making the playoffs this season. And now it's about the action steps within that to hopefully make that happen for the players.
As a former player yourself, I'd imagine a lot of that mindset comes from your experience of going through match day -1, match day, having to deal with the ups and downs of the season. What do you find yourself using most from your playing days now as a coach?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, but one thing in particular is sort of having that feeling or empathy for what the player is feeling in the moment, right? To hopefully get them to respond or to motivate them. Right? I know players respond to different things, different people, but I think I try to leverage, me being in their shoes at one point, whether it's just for a match day, whether it's just for their general careers and motivating them to hopefully have a sustainable and long career. But I think, again, like I said, just being in their shoes, finding ways and methods for them to respond, to hopefully have them perform for the short term and the long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. You touched on the uniqueness of being the head coach of this kind of intermediary level. With that in mind, how do you define success for the club this year? I know you talked about the playoff mindset, but in general, how do you define success?
Yeah, I define success by, I would say, first of all, developing as many players as possible and helping them reach their full potential, right? With that, there's objectives there, right? How many players can we prepare and develop to make sure they're ready for a first team level, right? Obviously it can get better, but I think in regards to a decent amount of players, I feel like some players have reached that level to this part of the season. Obviously, only so many players can make it. So then it's, okay, if it's not here, how we prepared them for maybe another first-team environment, right, elsewhere, so that, again, so they can hopefully have a sustainable and long career to keep going about fulfilling their passion.
A long career like this guy had. For you specifically, been in Canada 4 years technically. What has been the most surprising thing to you living in a country where you never lived before joining the staff here?
Yeah, so it's another good question. I would say on the soccer side, I've learned a lot just in regards to just the environment, the Canadian environment, the player pool, especially in Vancouver, sort of trying to navigate through that environment, if you want to say, and the dynamics within that. I think we've tried to provide as many platforms, high-level platforms for these players to develop in and get challenged in, which is, like I said, a different dynamic than maybe in the U.S. So we want to move towards providing those opportunities for those players the best we can, right? And I think we've made strides with that. Off the pitch, I would say, man, I need to go on more hikes, right? Vancouver is a beautiful place. There's so much to do outdoors, especially in the summertime. Beautiful climate, beautiful scenery, and it's definitely on my bucket list to really go on a proper hike. I just haven't made the time yet, but everybody gives me crap for not getting out as much as I should. But food is great, great cafes, great restaurants, great people. So, my family has adapted, my kids have adapted, coming from Houston, Texas, right? Mm-hmm. So they're bought into, Dad, we go over wherever Dad wants so he can fulfill his passion and his dream and his job, right? So
that's awesome. How does it feel to have that support?
Yeah, it feels awesome. It feels awesome. They're sort of used to it, if you want to say, through my playing career and now my coaching career. So I'm happy to have that support and adaptability that the family is able to provide.
Well, we're happy to have you in this league. Rico, thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That does it for this edition of Coach's Corner. Best of luck to the Whitecaps FC2 as they try to make it to the playoffs this year.
Action.
All right, MLS store, I need something fresh and clean. Let's see what you got. I need that in my size. I like this. Cream on cream. The fit is cold. Ice cream. You like that?
A look at the schedule here and the scores from match week 28 here at MLS Next Pro. We will end things on Tuesday with Atlanta and Minnesota. It's been a week where a lot of the results that needed to happen to have certain teams clinch didn't happen, mostly in the Eastern Conference, which is keeping everybody alive for the most part. The one that was most important for this Orlando-Chicago game was that Chattanooga-New England that went to a shootout and saw Chattanooga win in that shootout against New England. So a couple of weeks remaining. This is how match week 28 looked. Still one more match to go tomorrow, one other match to go tonight. That's LAFC and Real Monarchs later on. And a look now at highlights from half number one between Orlando and Chicago. Scoreless still, but you had 20 combined shots, 10 apiece. You had 6 shots on target, 3 apiece. So it was a very open, end-to-end, lively half despite the scoreless nature. A lot of the early opportunities belong to Amari Glasgow. Dangerous coming off that right side, cutting into his preferred left foot, having a couple of goes at goal. There was that stretch, that flurry in there where Carlos Mercado made a handful of saves back-to-back-to-back. And Orlando grew back into the half, started to wrestle control. Patrick Los makes his best save here. 3 set pieces that were dangerous for Orlando in that half. Kibanguchi missing here, got underneath it on his way up. And another late chance. Glasgow whistles wide of the post. Sent Mercado on the dive. And it finishes 0-0 through 45 minutes between Orlando and Chicago. Again, here are those stats. 10 shots each, 3 on target each. Possession-wise, favor for Orlando at 57%. It was a really even first half between two teams who need the game. Orlando clinches a playoff spot with a victory. Chicago would be in a very good position with a victory of their own. They would not be clinched, but a win in regulation vaults Chicago from 8th up to 3rd. And we are set now to begin half number 2. It's Orlando right to left in the purple, Chicago left to right in the white. Only yellow card to remember from that first half, Javier Casas for Chicago. It'll be interesting to see which of these two sides, if either, get to be more aggressive in the second half and push for the 3 points. Remember, Orlando needs all 3 tonight in order to clinch a playoff spot. The 2 from a shootout victory would not be enough. Has to be a regulation win. Well, for Chicago, a shootout win would tie them for 3rd place, so still serves a purpose, but they are the team that's in more peril. So do they want to go for all 3 at the risk of losing any chance? 2 teams who have both been solid in their shootout. All things that will weigh on the minds of both head coaches now into half number 2. Waiting for the whistle of John Surgan to send us on our way. It's been a quiet night for the referee. Has not had much to do. And away we go in the second half. Glad to have you along this evening on MLSNextPro.com. I'm Joe Malfa. Orlando with a win into the postseason. Chicago jockeying for a spot right around that playoff line. They entered today in 8th. Earlier today we had Philadelphia beat NYCFC 4-3. Philadelphia still in 2nd. Behind the play, it's Colin Gusky who's down. The fourth official having a word with our referee about who might have bumped heads with who and which players need a look from the trainer here for the mandatory stoppage due to a head injury. Gusky looks like he's trying to say it was his shoulder, not his head, but if that's the case, it'll just be a quick check. It'll come right back on the field. Starting all the way back with a drop ball to the goalkeeper, Patrick Lose. Williams. Center back launches forward, but low trajectory meant it was blocked. Pareba gets underneath it. Could have been dangerous the other way for Chicago. Orlando recovers, and it's Solis. Slipping it through, looking for Valencia. Almost fought off Diouf to win it. Glasgow chopped down by Almaguer. Coming off a 2-1 win against the Red Bulls over Chicago. It's their first regulation victory since July 21st. To be fair, they only played 6 matches in that stretch and a couple of match weeks off in there as the schedule evened itself out. So over the course of about 2 months almost, only those 6 matches, only picked up 3 points out of a possible 18. That's what turned them from what seemed to be a playoff lock into now a playoff question mark. And there's no question mark about this one. Yellow card for Solis. Felt tactical in nature. Sort of a no man's land, though, here for Chicago. Too far for a strike. Too centrally located for any sort of service. See if they go short.
John Solis in the 50th minute.
And that is exactly what they will do. Just restarting the possession. Or a help. Lamont Rochester. Almost got it back on the ricochet. Instead, he commits a foul. Luca Petrasso. A patient Williams finds Kibanguchi. Sent long for Freeman. Watch the run from Valencia here backside. He was sneaking behind Diouf, but nothing that Freeman could do as the pressure closed in terms of getting the ball over the top. Penalty picking up a bit here in half number 2 early on at least. Rochester more active down this left side to begin the second half. Chicago, their attack was very much right side centric in that first half through Glasgow. Kibanguchi, number 18 pick in the 2021 MLS draft by Minnesota. Lynn thought he was fouled. Referee thought otherwise. Perpa, Glasgow. Drops it back for Pareba, dummied through, and just not on the same page in the end with Christian Kofi. Now Valencia comes away with it. Space for Valencia, thought about going for goal. Solis. Mohamed curling, it's wide. Team leading 11, did not miss a 12th by much, but Los had his post covered. This portion of the match brought to you by your Central Florida Audi dealers. Visit AudiOffers.com for exceptional offers. Rochester. Gusky. Ends up brought down by Pareba. Almaguer. Slower pace of the second half than we saw in the first. These two teams running and gunning in half number 1. Still yet to see any real threat in this second half. That shot moments ago from Mohamed, the first of half number 2, after we saw 20 total shots in half number 1. Turned over by Orlando. Kofi. Kofi, nobody made that run near side. Valencia. Valencia cutting in, leaves it for Solis. Flag stayed down. Solis, end line, cuts it back to his preferred foot, scoops it centrally, comes out to Petrasso. Valencia. And now the offside flag comes up. Orlando's done a good job of containing Omari Glasgow. He finds open space and hits that top gear. That's where he's his most dangerous. Rochester. Casas. Orahel. Slotted through. It's Perpa. It's blocked. Comes back for Glasgow. Omari Glasgow. Header away from Kibanguchi. Try from distance here for Kofi. And all of a sudden a flurry from Chicago. Nothing comes of it, but threatening these last couple of moments. Here's Valencia. Overlap from Petrasso. Valencia cuts in, going for goal. You wonder when these coaches may dip into the bench here. Try and present a different look. And a match that's on a knife's edge right now. Two very evenly matched teams. Only 2 points separating in the standings. Depending on how things shake out, could be a playoff matchup between these two clubs. Not out of the realm of possibility that this is your 3-6 or 4-5 matchup, depending on what the top teams choose, of course, in the pick your opponent format. Petrasso trying to cut it back. Valencia. Almaguer. Don't forget that pick your own opponent format back again this year. Start with the top seed in each conference. Have their option. And then just go from there until you're left with all the matchups. Will we have selection process that goes true to form, or will it be like last year where had a couple of call-outs of higher seeds that led to some bad blood and really ended up working out exactly the way folks in the league office had hoped? Created some drama, created some matchups that you may not have otherwise gotten, and just overall added to the excitement of the MLS Next Pro postseason. Sent long from Los. He finds Glasgow. Well done by the goalkeeper. Glasgow centers. Gucci looking long for Freeman. I alluded to it in the first half, and it's continued to be an issue for Orlando. Haven't done nearly enough work down the right side, at least not what they're accustomed to. That pairing of Freeman as the right back and Sheikh Mohammed on the right wing is often so dangerous. Chicago has done a good job of closing that side of the field down and keeping things here on this left side. Now it's Petrasso. Balloons one over to Freeman, headed centrally for Lynn! Jack Lynn! He's been limited this year, spending most of his time in MLS with the first team, but he leaves his mark once again. Petrasso with the overlap. Almost looked like he mishit it, but Freeman rescues it, and then Lynn finishes his third of the season in only his 6th game. As I mentioned, this has been the year where he's really graduated to the first team. Last year's Golden Boot winner in Next Pro, best 11 the year prior. This year he's finally gotten his chance with the first team. 10 appearances, 2 goals. So his time in Next Pro has been limited, but his moments have been timely. He scored in last week's victory. He scores here tonight, and as it stands, Orlando City B would clinch a playoff spot if they can hold on. Under a half an hour remaining now.
Your Orlando City B goal scored by number 27, Jack Lynn, in the 61st minute. Assist on goal by number 30, Alex Freeman.
Alex Freeman picks up assist number 8 on the year. This portion of the match is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. How does Chicago respond? Remember, they have not been in the best of form. Yes, they come in off of a win in regulation against New York Red Bulls too, but it was their first regulation win in about 2 months. And the 6 matches in between, 3 losses, 3 shootout losses. Rochester looking for Pareba. It'll be a corner. Corner curled in, some contact, and I believe the decision from the referee is the contact happened before the corner was taken. And we'll just do it again, yes. Chicago wanted a penalty. He deems the contact beforehand, comes in for a talking to, retake the corner, and that leaves Pareba flabbergasted. In any event, take 2 from the corner. Good service here. Mercado slaps it away with 2 hands. Christian Kofi. Touched away by Shaq Mohammed. And it will be a throw for Orlando. A lot of contact there. Almaguer will get called for a free kick coming for Chicago. Orlando preparing 2 changes. Wilfredo Rivera, Yutaro Tsukada, the 2 who are up and ready for OCB. First they contend with the free kick. In-swinger from Perpa, knotted down but wide. And it is out for a corner. Another good service on the in-swinger. Kibanguchi slips, ball still loose. Chicago can't do anything with it in the end. And now those changes for Orlando. Wilfredo Rivera for Shaq Mohammed. Yutaro Tsukada for Colin Gusky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 substitutions for Orlando City B in the 66th minute. Leading the game is number 23, Shaq Mohammed. He's replaced by number 32, Wilfredo Rivera. Also leading the game for OCB is number 66, Yair Valencia. He's replaced by number 34, Yutaro Tsukada.
Correction, it's going to be Gusky staying on and Valencia coming off. There's an opportunity now for Sakata to substitute. He lays it off for Lynn. It deflects wide. Orlando looking to maybe put the finishing touches on and take a multi-goal lead. Now from the corner. Sent in from the corner. It's Lynn efforting for it, out for a goal kick. Chicago starting to stir over on the bench now. Ready to counter with a sub or two of their own. Chris Copps and Jason Shukaluk, the two getting ready to come on now for Chicago. It's kept alive by Glasgow. Centered, and the shot through traffic is stopped. Orahel with the chance. And here come those changes now for Chicago. That'll be all for Perpa and for Diouf.
For the Chicago Fire 2 at the 70th minute. Leaving the game is number 41, Jean Diouf. He's replaced by number 64, Christopher Cupps. Also leaving the game is number 49, Luca Perpa. He's replaced by number 44, Jason Shukaluk.
Shukaluk comes in on the Chicago side, trying to spark something offensively. His rookie season here, 21 appearances, 9 starts, 2 goals, 2 assists. It's Sukata cutting inside, going for a goal, and the substitute makes an impact. Yutaro Sukata makes it 2-0 Orlando. His 7th of the season. Watch how he beats 2 men here. Cuts inside, a little bit of a slip, then past Shannon, and then just comes back the other way with the shot against the grain. Patrick Los moving to his left, couldn't come back quickly enough to his right. 7th of the year for Sukata. 2-0 lead for Orlando. And with just over 20 minutes to play, they can taste a postseason berth. A regulation win gets them there, and they are well on their way now.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Orlando City B goal scored by number 34, Yutaro Tsukada in the 71st minute. Assists on goal number 27, Jack Lynn.
Jack Lynn with his first assist of the season now. Only in his 6th game again with 3 goals. Making his mark here in a big game for OCB. If they have him for more time now down the stretch, look out for OCB making a deeper run into the postseason as Glasgow picks up a yellow card here behind the plate.
Ladies and gentlemen, a yellow card has been issued to Chicago Fire 2, number 55, Amari Glasgow, in the 73rd minute.
Overlap for Rochester, now Kofi. Now from here, Chicago will visit 6th place Columbus and host 2nd place Philly in their final 2 matches. No telling how things will shake out. It's too complex to do any sort of math when it comes to this race. At the end of tonight, if this holds the way it is right now, from 4th to 10th rather, 4th place to 10th place, we have 2 points separating all those teams. Miami, NYCFC, Columbus, Crown Legacy on 42, Chicago on 41, then below the line Carolina and Chattanooga on 40. All of those teams except Miami have played 26 matches. Miami's played 25. So they have a bit of a leg up with that game in hand. If you want to go out for the sake of argument and say Miami wins the game in hand and they draw clear of the pack, it's still from 5th place down to 10th place. 2 points separating those teams with 2 games to go. Anybody's guess. Chicago would have to dust off after this defeat and get right back at it against Columbus on the road in the next one. Columbus in that pack of teams on 42. And again, home against Philly. In a game that might not mean much to Philly, they can only be caught by 1 team for 2nd place, that being Miami. And depending on what Cincinnati does, they might not be able to get to 1st, Philadelphia. Currently in 2nd, 2 points back of Cincy. And now the card comes out for Pareba.
Ladies and gentlemen, a yellow card has been issued to Chicago Fire 2, number 48, David Pareba, in the 76th minute.
Chopped down Solis from behind. Not much doubt about that. That'll be all for Jack Lynn.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have two substitutions for Orlando City B in the 76th minute. Leading the game is number 27, Jack Lynn. He's replaced by number 95, Fabian Loyola. Also leaving the game is number 20, Luca Petrasso. He's replaced by number 29, Tahir Reed-Brown. We have a substitution for the Chicago Fire 2. Leaving the game is number 50, Christian Coffey. He's replaced by number 68, Vitaly Halun.
There you have your changes for both sides. Tahir Reed-Brown for Luca Petrasso. Fabian Loyola for Jack Lynn on the Orlando side. That'll be all for Christian Kofi on the Chicago side. Vitaly Holiot replaces. Crowd getting into it here in Kissimmee. Orlando on the verge of clinching a playoff berth with a regulation victory. This portion of the match is brought to you by Body Armor. Reach for real. Body Armor offers real hydration with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Rochester looking through for Pere, but they just have not found him tonight. The Golden Boot leader with 17 this season. He's not really had any good looks to speak of. In behind, looking for the flick out of the back post, is saved by Mercado, denying Glasgow. I don't know how much he knew about this. It got caught between his legs, but positioned himself well. Glasgow should have done better, knocking it right back into the path of Mercado. He just steers that forward with a quick touch. It's 2-1. It's game on. Instead, it remains 2-0. Orlando escapes without any blemish. Solis. Slipped in behind for Freeman. Driven across. Sakata was waiting.
Ladies and gentlemen, substitution for Orlando City B in the 80th minute. Leading the game is number 49, John Solis. He's replaced by number 64, Manuel Coca.
Manuel Coca replacing John Solis. Fresh out of subs now, Orlando. Almaguer from the corner. Drops it in. Orahel wanted the outlet over the top. It's closed down by Orlando. Still one more match to come tonight between LAFC and Real Monarchs here in Next Pro. One more tomorrow as well to officially wrap up match week 28. Almaguer. Sukata, who made it 2-0. Heavy contact, edge of the area. Kibanguchi won it cleanly. Kibanguchi picks up a yellow in the aftermath.
Ladies and gentlemen, the yellow card has been issued to OCB number 54, Nabi Kibanguchi, in the 84th minute.
Pareba. Time wearing thin, 6 to play. Chicago will remain above the playoff line regardless, but need to help their chances here by maybe picking up a point at least, or forcing a shootout to pick up a second. That's not going to help. Mercado able to take some more time off the clock. To the end line, Sukata cuts back in. Sukata, and it blocked. Kibanguchi has to be careful. He just picked up a yellow. And now Freeman will pick up a yellow for delaying the restart.
Ladies and gentlemen, the yellow card has been issued to OCB number 30, Alex Freeman, in the 86th minute.
To the end line and centered. Kibunguchi flicks away. Out for Glasgow. Glasgow just floats it up there, but nobody in particular in the vicinity. Brought down by Shukaluk. Rochester. Ideas just haven't been there in the second half for Chicago. These teams still statistically have it right down the middle. 16 shots each, 5 shots on target each. Take it a step further, 9 of those shots each have been from inside the 18-yard box. They each have nearly the same number of touches in the box, 22 for Chicago, 21 for Orlando. Everything right down the line, even a 50-50 possession mark right now. But Orlando's been more clinical on 2 chances and lead 2-0. Trying to add a third, and they will! Putting this one to bed with emphasis, Fabian Loyola. Orlando City B punching their ticket into the playoffs. Space was there. Nobody closed down. Loyola nails it. Nothing you could do but tip your cap if you're an opposing goalkeeper. Chicago could have done better closing down. Just a terrific effort from Loyola for his 3rd goal of the season, leaving no doubt now that Orlando will be in the postseason. Needing a regulation win tonight to clinch. You can put the little X next to their name on the website. Peter Sudan and Bryce Richards subbing on now, the final subs for Chicago. It's going to be too little too late.
Ladies and gentlemen, a yellow card was also issued to Fabian Loyola.
Loyola officially did pick up a yellow card, by the way. He knew that when the jersey was coming off, but sometimes worth it.
And we have 2 substitutions for Chicago Fire 2 in the 89th minute. Leaving the game was number 37, Javier Casas. He's replaced by number 53, Peter Southmore. Also leaving the game is number 35, Sergio.
There will be 6 minutes of stoppage time, we're told. Pardon me, 5 minutes of stoppage time. Wilfredo Rivera picks up a yellow. Frustrations maybe just boiling over now after the play on the Chicago side. Five more minutes until it's official. But Orlando City B are in the clear. Second game in a row now where they've just taken control in the second half.
And a yellow card has been issued to OCB number 32 in the 90th minute. Wilfredo Rivera.
Last match, they enjoyed that victory by a 2-0 scoreline over New England. Both goals in the second half. Now against Chicago, all 3 goals in the second half. Anything from here on out would be cosmetic for Chicago. Trying to salvage some sort of momentum then into their road match 6 days from now against Columbus. Remember, they're 1 point behind Columbus in that pack of teams vying for the final few spots in the East. We'll have to pick up the pieces, Chicago, and get right back at it. Orlando will have next week off. Their final game on the schedule is the season finale against Cincinnati on October 6th. All they can and will do now, Orlando, is just sit back and watch, see how the rest of the table takes shape, and then see on the final day what they need to do to earn the highest seed possible. Maybe earn a home playoff game out of it. They cannot go beyond third. I mentioned it earlier. Now it's back under the microscope because of their victory. After Philly beat NYCFC earlier, it pushed them 6 points clear of Orlando with 2 games to go. So they, in theory, could tie on points, but first tiebreaker is regulation wins, and with 2 games remaining, Philadelphia had 4 more regulation wins than Orlando. So the highest Orlando could finish, feasibly, is third. But with this win, we know they will finish no lower than 8th, and they will be into the postseason. Whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, we'll have a clearer idea of next week when, again, Orlando's sitting at home and watching off this coming weekend. See if there's any time tacked on now to the 5 minutes initially added. Really nothing for Orlando to even nitpick about in this game. The chances Chicago had were not all that dangerous, except for when they had Glasgow in the 6-yard box. That terrific save made by Carlos Mercado. But that was already after it was 2-0. So I guess you could start there. If there's something for Manuel Goldberg to try and correct, it's after going up 2-0. Another try from distance here, and it's saved by Los. And if there's something to correct, it's not letting the guard down after taking that 2-goal lead. But they responded from that by coming down the field and turning a 2-0 lead into a 3-0 lead. Might be the last play of the game here. From the corner, comes all the way through. Orlando would like to just keep the clean sheet now. Floated in, and the flick is wide. There is the final whistle. Orlando City B punches its ticket into the postseason with a regulation victory over Chicago Fire 2. 3-0 the final, and OCB are on a roll, 7-1-1 since the beginning of August. They will be riding into the postseason on a high. They'll be off next week. They finish at Cincinnati, and then it's playoff time for the second year in a row for OCB. And tonight's man of the match is Fabian Loyola. In terms of the technicalities, his goal was the least important because it was already 2-0, and they already had it in hand, but it certainly was the prettiest, and it certainly was the one that put it well out of reach. Loyola picked up a yellow. He doesn't care. He scored what might go down as the goal of the match week here in MLS Next Pro. And that'll do it for us here this evening for our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew. I'm Joe Malfa. Once again, your final score, Orlando 3, Chicago 0. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. One more game to come later on tonight. It's LAFC against Real Monarchs. Good night, everybody.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.